So we have our cash plus here. The cash plus offer in this particular scenario came in at 555,000. Now, what the way that the buyer is able to come in with more of a full market value is what they call a seller holdback. In this particular scenario, that 83,250, that's 15%. What that is just a portion of your currently available equity that's held back until that property is successfully resold. Here's what it's there for. In the event the property sells for less, let's say this property is resold for $545,000. The $10,000 would be deducted out of that holdback, but everything else left over would be returned to the seller. But here's the really cool part. If it sells for the $555,000, you would get that, potentially 100% of that returned to you. Now here's the massive benefit of this offer. If this property sells for more, not only would you get that entire holdback returned to you, you would also get the additional proceeds above that higher sales price. And we see that happen a lot when the properties have been updated a little bit. And so that's a really cool part in how they're able to give a more full market value because of that seller holdback. Now, what they charge for this cash offer is a 6% service fee. This is what's considered a fee-based offer, not a margin-based offer, because again, they're not trying to take any of your equity when that house is listed and resold on the open market to assure that it does sell for the highest price possible. Now, out of that 6% service fee, the buyer is only going to close, take title on the property on that first closing, and then take over all the expenses on the resale. So you will no longer have any expenses after the first closing. They're going to take over utilities, property taxes, if there's an HOA, property insurance, the maintenance of the property, and of course, they have their cost of capital. So a good portion of that 6% is used during that resale process. Now, the resale fee, that's pretty straightforward. These are agent commissions and helps cover some of those additional closing costs on the resale. Then, of course, it's just broken down. Hey, your initial payment on this is that $369.25. Second payout could be that entire seller holdback if that property is resold for that $555, which then would give them effective net payout between both sales of $480,075 if they were to go down like we all hope it goes down. The other thing that we added recently was the proceeds calculator. This gives you the ability to make sure that you're clear on how everything works, and of course gives them the ability to make sure they're clear on how that works. Is if they can see what their proceeds would be, and you can see what I have highlighted. It's reducing, so they could say, oh, if this property only did sell for $535, then that would their payout be. Or, hey, what if this property sold, for $565,000? And they would see what their payout would be. So we thought that was a pretty cool tool to add in. So if it's an all-cash offer, of course, it's just a one-time close of the seller. If it's a cash plus, buyer closes, they take title, cover all the expenses of the property while it's being resold. Then the property is listed and resold by you, the agent who brought us the deal. Once that final resale happens, the seller will be provided what we call a cash plus breakdown of the resale transaction, how it went down, and then what's due back to them and what we need from them. So that's what that process looks like. And then the sell now, move later process is very similar but a little different. Buyer closes, they take title, then they cover all the expenses of the property except utilities because that homeowner is now, a tenant of the property, and the tenant pays that until they move out. Then once the seller moves out, the agent lists and resells that property. So some success stories that I want to go over. So here is the power of updating the property, and why it's super cool and important to have these conversations. Now, does it essentially cost the seller a little more up front, right? Because that would be a little bit less proceeds that are getting on the first sale. Yes, but in scenarios like this, I would say 9 times out of 10, they're getting a return on their investment and then some. It's just totally worth it. And we all know, like, I mean, this is, believe it or not, this is not an uncommon, to the left picture here, this is not an uncommon photo that we get in the system. Again, we all know there's a lot of people that live in their houses hard. And imagine if this thing was put on the open market. That's going to be eaten alive and then two, or you go try to, they go try to sell this to a cash buyer. They're dealing with a freaking wholesaler, a flipper that's going to give them probably 30 to 40 cents on the dollar on this. Just get crushed. We came in on the Cash Plus, bought it based on full market value of what the property could be worth if it was updated. So now they're not getting low market value. They're getting the highest payout possible based on remodel costs, and then of course the holdback and the service fee, resale fee. And you can just see it. I mean, it doesn't even look like the same house. And then this property ended up selling. I thought I put it on here. We bought this 458 that I sold. I think in this scenario, which is pretty rare, it ended up selling it for a little bit less. And I still tell people, imagine what it would have sold for if we didn't. If the buyer didn't do this. And then here's the other cool part. If the only Cash Plus, if the property does ever sell for less, yes, that's obviously never the goal. The goal is for them to get as much money as possible. Here's the thing. It's still a positive. You know what that means? Based on results, we know it was exposed in the MLS and it got maximum exposure and it sold for the highest price possible. And that means that the buyer essentially overpaid for it, and they got a higher additional payout than maybe they should have, right? So it's still always a win-win. All right, on this one, okay, cool. I put all the details. And so this one, pretty simple. And new paint, interior paint. They painted the cabinets in the kitchen, the bathroom. We put granite in the kitchen and bathroom, of course, with the stuff that comes with that, and faucet, sinks, plumbing. And this was a nominal cost. I mean, I think by the time it came out, I think there was some AC work that had to be done for like $17,000. Then maybe I just not we're not talking about big money for the remodel. Now, when this property was purchased, that was already on the MLS for 78 days. And then after it was purchased, work was done, it sold in 3 days for the same price that we did purchase it. So that means they would have got probably significantly less if they would have just kept leaving that property on the open market. They kept doing price reductions. So again, that's big when you're able to do that. And then this one is really cool. This one is a very, very recent one. So on this one, you can see like on the left-hand side, there's not even a dishwasher in the property. And I mean, I don't even, to me, I wouldn't even consider that countertop space. It was at a tiny little corner. I mean, that's smaller than a one-bedroom apartment. And so we came in and put in a new kitchen in the property. And you can see there's not a ton of space too, so it was a pretty big transformation. It was new kitchen, new interior paint, new carpet where there was in the basement. The exterior was painted, and the backyard was pretty bad as far as landscaping goes, and all that was just nice and cleaned up. And we went under contract within 2 weeks at $455. And I think the remodel on this was probably around like $30,000. So they almost got 100% return on their investment on it. That's pretty awesome. And so again, love to share these success stories with you because we are seeing this happen a heck of a lot more through our acceptances. Now, of course, not every property needs it, and if it's all already dialed in, the seller just needs to move on and get their initial payout. Boom, that thing will just be put on the market right away, and then nobody has to wait, for the an update process to happen.